What are you cooking today, Miss Martha? Well, I'm here to tell you that turkey's not just for Thanksgiving. I cook it quite often through the year because it's one of my husband's favorite meats. I like cooking it for the family because it's no cholesterol. So what we're going to fix is I've got the turkey wings. I'm going to do lemon turkey wings. I've got little white potatoes here, or yellow potatoes. I'm going to do a garlic and cheese smooshed, not mashed, not creamed, smooshed potatoes. I'll show you how to do those in a little bit. And I've got a fresh asparagus over here. I'm going to do a herb cream cheese asparagus. So it's also, all of this is in the oven. It has different cooking times. I need to do my turkey first because that takes longer to cook. So before I continue with the ingredients and the spices and the directions and the menus, first thing first is I've got to cut open, I've got to wash. Now when you say wash your poultry, I don't mean with dish soap. I mean you're just going to have cool to a little bit to room temperature water. You're going to rinse it off really good till there's no more blood showing on it. You're going to pat it dry with paper towels. You're going to set it aside to use. Then you're going to have to wash your hands to get the salmonella and, E. coli, Ebola, everything off your hands for handling raw meat. So I've got to wash my turkey wings first, and then we'll pick back up from there. So go get a cup of coffee, and we'll get rock and roll in just a few minutes. Okay. My turkey wings have been washed, patted dry, and put into my Pyrex baking dish. Well, I'm going to make the dry rub first before I get my hands all yucky by rubbing in the olive oil into it. So let's make our dry rub here so you can see. Okay. I've got like 8 turkey wings here, so I'm going to need a whole teaspoon of salt. That's a lot of turkey. So, teaspoon of salt. My husband loves pepper. We'll put a whole teaspoon of black pepper. Okay. 2 teaspoons garlic powder. 1 teaspoon of onion powder. I have a little lemon pepper seasoning that I like to use. We're going to go with 1, 2, 3 teaspoons of that. I have a lemon rosemary that I like to use also. We're going to use just 1 teaspoon of that one. Okay. Now, I'm going to save my salt and pepper back because that's going to go in the other dishes as well a little bit. But I'm through with the lemon ingredients. Okay. Mix that together really well. You got to make sure you get both sides. So we're going to start with this side, flip them around, put back up whichever the prettiest side's going to be, because you want it to look. You always want your dish to look pretty when you're serving, whether it's just family or it's guest. So I've got olive oil on that side. Yeah. Let's turn them over. That's going to be my top side. So let's turn that. We'll do that side last. This way. Olive oil. Yep. Now. You notice I have touched raw chicken and I've touched my olive oil. So when I finish, I'm going to not only just wash my hands, I'm going to have to wash the outside with soap and water, the outside of my olive oil bottle, because don't want to contaminate your kitchen. Now, let's go to the dry rub. Just going to get in there and sprinkle it all over really good. About half of it, because you got to do the other side. Pat it down in there. Get it flipped back over to the pretty side here. Okay. Skin side up, I should say. And it's like a little V shape. I kind of alternate. One this way, triangle, that way the next piece, so they fit nicely in the pan. All right. Let's do the rest of our dry rub. Between where the little arms of his little wing opens up. Pretty. Okay. I'm going to rinse my hands off, rinse my olive oil off, then I'm going to come back in. I'm going to add 1 cup of water, not to knock the dry rub off the turkey, but down to the bottom of the dish, because if you try to put this in the oven right now and you don't have enough moisture in it, you know, these old glass Pyrex dishes, they'll crack. And then you've ruined your whole dish because you don't know if you got glass in your dish or not. So you always have to put a little bit of water. I think the fancy French people call it a bain-marie when they're doing a separate little pan of water because they want the steam to cook in their oven. Well, it's the same principle of the steam. You still want, you know, the steam to help cook your turkey. To have a clean finger to stop the camera. Don't think that I do. Good thing I got this fancy little touchless faucet over here. Okay. Now I'm gonna pause the camera and wash my hands better. Okay, I've got my cup of water in the bottom. So this is gonna go in a 375-degree oven for about an hour and a half to bake. So it's gonna take this longer than the other item. So let's get this in the oven, then we'll come back. I'll clean my counter off better and we'll move on to the next dish so we can time everything out that all ready at the same time. Okay, my protein's in the oven. The turkey's in the oven roasting. You notice I didn't cover it because my husband likes a crispy skin. And that's one of the few things he's allowed to eat the crispy skin on. I don't fry chicken, and you know, because you try to, that's your cholesterol and your fat is in the skin. All right, let's move along. Let's do the potato dish. I said smooshed potatoes, okay, because this is what we're going to do. These are potatoes from Wegmans. You just cook them right in the bag. You don't punch a hole or anything in the bag. You put them in your microwave, but they can't go on your little glass turntable. They have to go on a plate. So they'll go on a plate in the microwave. It's 8 minutes to cook them thoroughly. So I'm only going to do 60 minutes for one bag. I'll take them out. Then I'll put the next bag in, 6 minutes on that bag. Okay? We'll get that done. Now, while they're cooking, I'm going to explain to you before I put them in. A smashed potato is, when he comes out, he's going to be soft enough, and I'm cool down enough that I can handle it and don't burn my hands. I'm going to put them over here on my pastry board. Now, this is the difference between this glass and this glass. Do you see a difference? This one here is called a heavy bottom glass. You can see, obviously. I don't want you to try to use one of these dish glasses. And I don't want you to take this to try to smush your potato and the glass breaks and you cut a thing off or something other. Because Miss Martha, I would be terrified if you injured yourself in the kitchen trying to follow one of my recipes. So if all you guys have a glass like this, don't use it. If you've got a heavy bottom glass like this, you can use it because you can put your little potato there, you put your glass on top, and you go smush it. You smush it down. Because here's your round potato, you just want to get kind of flat. You're not going to try to disintegrate him. You're just going to smush him down, so it'll be a smushed potato. If you don't have a heavy bottom glass, you're going to use 2 plates. You can put your potato on one plate, put the other plate on top of it, and you're smushing that way. This is probably the safer version. I'm probably going to do it this way today because I know y'all have been kind and nobody has said anything to me about, oh, Miss Martha, what's this little dimple or this little, it was a scar. I got 32 stitches in my face. Let's see, was it 2000? It was before the pandemic hit. So 2019, Mother's Day, my son gave me an air fryer. So I was moving all the other stuff off the counter so I could make room for open the present because I knew I was getting an air fryer. And I got and stood in one of the little chairs to put the stuff up in the cabinet over the double oven over here in the microwave section. And one of the things I was putting away was a heavy glass cloche, the little dome and cloche for a cake because we had finished eating the cake that I'd baked a couple weeks earlier and I had washed that, put that. So I had to put that away up in that and I lost my balance on the chair and I fell down the glass and I landed on the jagged glass and blood was squirting everywhere and they heard me thud and I said, I'm not all right. Usually if you have a lax in the kitchen, first thing you'll say is, I'm all right. Okay, everything's okay. I mean, I dropped some oatmeal this morning. I'm like, I'm okay. You know, but I was like, I'm not all right. So I had to go by ambulance and had to get stitches in my face. So, you know, I didn't have any nerve damage. I could smile and I can talk. So it's just a scar. So that's what that's all about. But I get triggered by glass in the kitchen. Whenever I'm working with glass, even the glass Pyrex dishes, for the longest time I would only use the aluminum disposables. I've gotten back now that I'm confident enough I could use the glass Pyrex dishes and I don't feel like it's going to reach up and stab me. I was very fortunate. It could have got my eye out. It could have got my jugular. So, you know, there's worse things in life than having a scar. We're going to go ahead and put the potatoes in the microwave. I've got a larger plate than this. I'm going to put them in 6 minutes on one bag, take it out, don't cut it open, don't punch any holes in it, just let it sit there for a minute and do the next bag 6 minutes, and then we'll pick back up over here, smushing our potatoes. Well, you hear the potatoes are in the microwave, or first half is in the microwave right now, so I'm going to make my little herb butter sauce, garlic butter sauce. It's going to go on top of them right now. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of salt, because that's a lot of potatoes. 1 teaspoon of pepper. I've got some chives here. We're going to use 3 teaspoons. 1, 2, 3 teaspoons of chives. Romano cheese is going to go on it after I put the sauce on. This is how many? This is 13 ounces. I'm using half, so that's what, 6 ounces of an olive oil, non-butter, 0 trans fat spread. And I've got my minced garlic, because y'all know. Oh, can I open this? Y'all know Miss Martha hates peeling garlic. Need a clean teaspoon. Okay. Chopped garlic. 1, 2 teaspoons. I'm gonna go over my stove top till the margarine or the olive oil mixture melts, and this is what's gonna go over the potatoes in the casserole. So we'll pick back up. Okay, make a butter sauce over here. I did add 1 teaspoon of sugar. So we'll start with the potatoes, it needs that. Get back up over there. This is going to take a few minutes for all that to melt, and I'm still waiting on the potatoes. 1 bag's out. I'm going to put on a fresh plate. If I put them back in on a hot plate in another 6 minutes, sometimes these old plates have cracked too. So I'm doing the next bag 6 minutes, and I'm watching my garlic butter melt on the stove. We'll pick back up in a few minutes. All right, my garlic butter's melted. Let's open up our potatoes here. Let the steam burn you. This is the one that just came out. Be careful of the steam. Okay, just leave them alone for a second. Let that steam come on out of there. I'm gonna get a sip of Pepsi while we wait. All right, we're gonna smash our potatoes. I'm gonna use my heavy bottom glass here. Like I said, if you don't have one, just a little pressure on it. And a spatula. We'll transfer them over to the dish. There we go. Another one out. Oh, it's still kind of hot. Spatula. Over to the dish. Okay. Oh, saving time. My videos tend to run sometimes 40 minutes, so I'm gonna finish smashing on my potatoes, and then we'll come back and put the garlic butter on them, and a little Romano cheese, and they'll go in the oven, and we'll start on the asparagus dish. So I'll be right back. I've got 1 layer of the smooshed potatoes on the bottom. So we're gonna take our little garlic butter sauce that we made, and we're gonna drizzle a little bit on it. Make sure each potato gets some. And we've got our is Asiago, Parmigiano, Romano. I just call it the red one. Sprinkle some of that on liberally. Then we'll do our next layer. So we'll pick back up when I get those all ready. The last of our, got the second layer of potatoes in. We'll do the last of our butter, garlic butter on there. Romano cheese. Now, there'll still be some Romano cheese in here, so when these come out, when everything, let's see, the turkey's already been in there about 30 minutes. It's got another hour to bake. These take about an hour to bake. So I'm gonna put the asparagus in, but when these come out and we're ready to serve these, I will put some fresh grated cheese on top of them to make them look pretty, just a little bit, to brighten them up so they won't be all brown and crusty looking. Now my potatoes are going in the oven. We'll pick back up and we'll do the asparagus. Okay, for my asparagus, obviously you got to take the rubber bands off of it. Common sense tells you to do that. We're going to rinse them, and I'm going to come back over here to my cutting board. My husband, this little last part down here is kind of a woody stalk, but you pay so much for it, you don't want to cut. I'm only going to cut off a little bit less than an inch. Try to save as much of your asparagus as you can. Then I'm going to put them over here in the casserole dish, keeping all the ends together and the tips at the other end, and we're going to make our sauce. It's going to go on those. So I'm going to wash the asparagus and we'll pick back up. Okay, my asparagus have been rinsed off. I'm going to treat my casserole dish with a little bit of butter cooking spray. Like I said, we're gonna cut a little bit off the end of it there. If I was making a soup or something, I would hold this part back, and you could boil this, and you could put it in your puree. But I don't need it in puree. But I don't need it today. So we're gonna asparagus. Yeah, in the dish. So I'm gonna work on that. Okay, we're ready. We've got all our asparagus cleaned and prepped. Now we're going to make our sauce. We're going to use 2 sticks of margarine, 0 trans fat, like Miss Martha, you could have used the other half of that olive oil. Different taste. I'm not using olive oil on my asparagus yet. I'm just going to use the margarine. I want a creamier sauce. Okay, got 1 8-ounce pack of cream cheese. Scissors. Put it in there. Been setting out, kind of got it a little soft. Right. I'm gonna have to wash my hands. Be right back. All right. Common thing: 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Now I've got some tarragon leaves. 1 teaspoon. Got some ground thyme. Excuse me. 1 teaspoon. Excuse me. That pepper, the open pepper got me. Let me get a sip of drink. All right, the last herb. Ground sage, 1 teaspoon. Take this over to the stove over low heat till it all melts together. That'll be my creamy sauce. We'll pour that over the asparagus and that's the last dish that's going to go in the oven. So I've got my protein, my starch, and my vegetables. Will all be cooking in the oven. I can be off working, starting on a new painting over there. Or watch another episode of Alice in Borderlands. But I don't want to get too far ahead on my son there, and he'll go, hey, and I'm going to tell him, oh yeah, they're fighting a panther today. I don't want no spoilers. So I'll probably just play with the chihuahuas, but I'll meet you over at the stove. Okay, the butter part's melted. Well, it's not butter, it's margarine. I do that all the time. I used to always cook with butter. We're going to add it into our Vitamix here. Try not splashing all the chihuahua. Myself, put this out the way. Move this up real quick. Stove's off. Gonna pour our sauce over our asparagus. Okay. This will go into the oven. Okay, let's add the asparagus in with everything else in the oven here. Give you a little peek. What can you see from there? Okay, turkey's cooking nicely. So are the potatoes. Need about another 30 minutes or